News with Comix Wellspring.
Hello, welcome. This is a very special segment of Inspired Inc. I'm so excited because we have a lot of news, we have a lot of advancements, a lot of new things happening with the company, and it all includes you, the creators. So, for the special little info panel, we brought on the CEO of Comix Wellspring, my boss, Dan Hills of Comix Wellspring. Dan, how are you today?
Good. Boss is a pretty, I don't really like that name.
I know
How about
it's really great
friend?
for a friend. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we've been friends much longer than, I guess,
Yeah.
coworkers in that sense.
Technically weird coming from you. Yeah, no. No, I'm doing great. Just a lot of work, a lot of things in motion, a lot of pressures, but all for a extremely huge and valuable, um reason,
Yeah.
payoff for both the community, I believe the industry, and for everyone here in this community directly with the CWS network. So I can't be too too down and out about how much work is being done, but it's all good for a good purpose.
I love that. I mean, let's dive into that a little bit. CWS has always been a very creator-focused company. And so what has changed as we enter the realm of POD, and how did this evolution kind of happen and get us to this point?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll start with the second part of that. When it how it started, I think it was really something that I've been kind of chewing on since this old fractional CMO days. I mean, I've always known that the opportunity for a book of one from a creator point of view, and myself included, was something to strive for. I mean, inventory, um, minimum thresholds, especially many years ago. You see it a lot more common lower quantity thresholds today, but I always knew that the book of one is where we wanted to go, especially when you're kind of solving for some of those nuance problems. But it was always kind of like the technology always, and the production technology wasn't really, I guess, integrated too much with the comic book space. And I noticed that, and I thought it's absolutely a necessity, but there's more to it than just allowing creators a book of one, option. There was a lot of other things that we needed to factor in to really make this bigger and better than just lowering the minimum threshold. So like, that's really what this whole evolution is about, and we can dive into some of those practical and tactical details, and what this means for the creators. Um, and really we can shine a light on like when all this happens, and how is it happening, and who does it affect and stuff. But for the most part, um it is going to have a positive effect on our whole business model, the creators. Really, it stems from the idea of like, how can we really, at the end of the day, how can we really increase the margin for the creator in the middle? Because you have, and personally, looking at the industry from the outside, you have a lot of hands in the cookie jar and a very small margin for comics in general, from a creator and a seller. So I wanted something that could actually have a positive effect on everything, but also bring great price points to the table. And this is really, this is really one of the value proposition, or I guess the values of being just a comic book focused printer. Um, One thing that we know in manufacturing is the more volume, the lower the price, and that is really good for us because all we do is comics. Everything's kind of in the same range of production, and specs on the book. So it was easy to kind of like, okay, leverage the amount of volume and access the best prices, and share that savings to the creator. And that the whole model was about that because, I mean, the philosophy is simple. if a creator if the creator makes more money because their margins are better, they're inclined to create more. They're inclined to, keep pushing on and create more and output more, and that just feeds the ecosystem. And that was really kind of the driving engine behind it.
And that's so interesting too, because this now affects the entire industry. And this goes from, anyone who has a file ready can print a comic. So this impacts from, publishing, crowdfunding, and everything in between that, from
Yeah.
distribution to accessibility for creators. We're giving more accessibility to creators with equality with options. And so, was this part of the vision when you're thinking up print on demand to kind of shake things up a little bit to finally get the industry to evolve and do more? And
Yeah,
how
yeah,
does how does
yeah.
CWS, plan on ensuring quality from production, to customer service that we provide as well with that big
Yeah,
switch up?
yeah, I mean, yeah, a huge I mean, two big important factors were put into play when thinking about this, and, like, how we can strategize on, like, bringing it to the market and, like, really making it in the biggest impact. And, two big focuses were technology, like really focus in on technology and how does, Book of One really look in the future, from manufacturing, but from a user interface too. So with all that being said, the maybe the more important factor was always, like, how can we dive deeper on our focus of creator experience? Like, that is and you can ask anyone on the, and everyone on the team, it's like, we have a dedicated meeting for that, because it's like, I think it's more than the cool technology and the tools and the accessibility and the supply chain and, like, all those things that you build into a global business or brand. It's about, how is the creator winning at the end of the day, and how easy are you making it for them to win? So a lot of thought has been put into, and time and effort has been put into, what does the creator experience. So with that being said, this deep focus was really like um, a look within, for us all, and, like, look at this operation, especially since we were acquired. I don't even remember, Brandon. You probably know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I
It's
can't.
such a blur at this point. Yeah, I
It's been a
guess it
blur.
was.
It's been a wild ride. But when we moved over, I mean, it, we saw a lot of flaws, and I mean, there was a lot of holes in it, and it wasn't really scalable, and we had to fix a lot of stuff, and we did do a great job. But it also gave us the time to say, whoa, 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 like, if we really want to do this and really, really want to make effect on the industry as a whole, then we got to, a restructure restructure from within, look at these things, like, get our big boy pants on, and, like, actually look at the, like, procedures and processes, and doing it right, for not to just, you know grow as a small business, but evolve into a global brand, a globally recognized brand within the industry. And when we did that, it was really just taking a closer look at the creator experience, and then, reverse engineering, what kind of technology needs to be in place. For instance, like, okay, the Book of One is, yes, it's an awesome thing, and it's going to make huge strides for our industry. But it starts with that. Then it starts with, okay, then what about turnaround times, shipping, and, like, how do we fight shipping? And if we're going into a global markets, how do we overcome overseas shipping and tariffs and all that stuff? And then it was, how do we make communications in the pipeline better? And then it all came down to, well, how do we create the greatest tech stack that can provide all these things? And that's what we spent the last year on, developing, well, at least developing, and mapping out. And now, it's being built. It's, in the middle of being built. But there was a lot more to it. Creating a supply chain, and, as you mentioned, like, how are we maintaining quality control? How we doing that at scale? And, lucky for us, we created some great partners. One in HP. We took a lot of lot of insights and a lot of guidance from them, and we're able to kind of like get access to our indigos, and like at a global scale, and find partners in different countries that we could monitor through our systems, and we can set standard operating procedures that we built ourselves, and we can monitor them, and check in on those aspects, and make sure that kind of across the board in every country things are being done seamlessly, and the same, and always like all those decisions of those SOPs and stuff like that were always coming from a place of like, "Ooh, what's best for the creator?" So turnaround times have to be this, quality output, color has to be this, like, so price points have to be this. So there was packing. Packing is a huge one. Like
Mhm.
I think we pride ourselves on our packing, and I'd like to say we over engineer it, which is great. I think there's
In a
nothing wrong with
great
that,
way.
especially yeah. And I mean, there's only so much you can do to fight the craziness of the couriers. So you like we've really over the years, it all comes back to like our deep focus for only focusing on comic creators allowed us to only focus on comic creators and their products. So it allowed us to make decisions, and especially with investing, and like myself and my partners investing into this new evolution of CWS. It was all about that. It was all about those nuances, those things we've learned and heard about, and we always accepted so much feedback over the years, and now it's actually we have the best response for it and what we're building. Um, when we could dive into those details, but I think it really stemmed from that, and now it's just always keeping a focus on that, everything we're building. So, what we're tackling is our like a guaranteed turnaround times to be half of where it's at. 20, taking 25 minimum quantity to book of one. However, we'll reward those. We're not going to lose our spunk in that space. It's just not going to be much change. Like you're going to still see good pricing, a better price. Actually, we're accessing, offset, and even dabbling in a little bit of digital web. And there's a lot more about the products that we're starting to produce and test before we bring to the market, which is another thing. We wanted to kind of analyze some of the products and do it right from the get-go. So it, the point being, like, everything is from a point of like learning, like we've learned over the last decade, and we're making decisions with the creators priorities in mind, according to like the data and the feedback that we've collectively gotten. And we're so we're so autonomous. I feel like personally that autonomous with the industry and the creators in our community, that there's constant open dialogues. We're constantly having conversations. I mean, you have so many friends in the industry. I mean, now so many of our staff are so integrated with the industry. So that's really the focus of all this. And this is where it all stemmed from, is just a, a collective years of listening, facing trials and tribulations, finding an opportunity to answer some of those questions, and solve some of those problems, because we had an opportunity, granted hard, an opportunity to rebuild this the right way. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to jump off on a really great foot going forward.
So it's exactly what you said at the beginning of the conversation. A lot of self-reflection to see what we were doing as a company, how to improve ourselves. A little self-help here is really what
Yeah,
happened with CWS. A
yeah,
realignment, refocusing, and looking at what we do best, and that's comics. And we're sticking to
yeah,
comics. And you wanted to see how can we just make things better. And with making things better as a company, that's one aspect. You've taken care of the team, you've made sure everything's in place, you've ensured that we have these capabilities to do this. But then it comes back to the creators. Like, how will this be accessible to them? Are we working with other people? Are we
No.
doing it through CWS? How is some of this capable? You mentioned HP as a partner, but for
Yeah.
creator
Yeah.
access, how does that
Yeah.
go about?
Yeah, so for the Book of One print on demand, we're we set a standard, and we still operate. We still have our manufacturing, and we constantly. I mean, that's kind of our lab, if you will. Like that's our lab where we're actually hands on. We study. We know, there's a lot of print brands out there that don't print anything, have never printed anything, and they source it, and that's okay. That's the economics of this industry, and that's fine. Uh, but I'd like to pride ourselves on, yeah, I mean, we've had over a decade of doing it ourselves. We set a standard. We had a focus. Like we have all the greatest ingredients you know, to create something amazing for one type of, you know, um, uh, creator, and that's who we've been talking about. Um, but yeah, the partnerships. So allowing us access to, first off, part of our software like stack. It's like, it's important that we, have a great like network, and a vetted network, because I won't sugarcoat that, because I don't think there's anything to really hold back. There's printers in other countries. It's not like we're going to pop up a plant in the UK, or EU, or Australia, or anything like that. um, why reinvent the wheel? How about there's already technology that allows us to access those same printers, same presses, that we can monitor, like I said, in each country. But there's a process to that. It's not like, hey, you print, right, and you can print our stuff. No, there's definitely a process in it, and we create and nurture really great relationships. HP as a partner gives us the ability to connect with those partners, but also monitor and make sure that things are being standardized, and as expected from the creator and the buyer. Um, so there's one, but also we have the obvious partnerships with the digital platforms. Global Comics being one of them. We made that announcement. There's a laundry list of others that we've had conversations with, and some we are already starting the integration. Um, but Global Comics is a very notable one, just because of how many people and are on it, and how many creators like their system. But we thought, one of those is like, well, how do we bring this awesome system, and mind you, affordable Book of One system to the masses quickly? And that's getting with like-minded platforms that already want this for their creators, and just need kind of the experience, and the plumbing, if you will, behind it to help them access. So we're working with all these platforms, and giving them access to this, but also doing things ourselves. We're never going to shy away from that, obviously. But this will definitely help accelerate global access to Book of One POD. Plus, as we start dipping into other countries, which, to speak into that real quick, we'll slowly dive into, join into new more and more countries as we scale over the next year or two. So, UK, EU, as I mentioned, being one of them, Canada for sure. I mean, we'll be in Canada at the same time. We'll launch there. But some of these other countries, we're nurturing those relationships. We're seeing, okay, how could, what kind of demands there, and whatnot. But that'll definitely come over time. Because I do imagine, my vision is, allowing creators to print one comic book at a time and deliver it anywhere in the world. And I think, no, sorry, I don't think, I know that's possible. Actually, I've seen it, and it's just a matter of climbing that ladder and prioritizing and figure out what's next, countries next, and stuff like that. But it's going to be here, no doubt about it. And what we're building allows us to do that. So, yeah. So those are kind of our partners. Obviously, there's a laundry list of partners, but those are the kind of the big players, is these platforms. And the technology that we're building is all custom, it's all by us. So it's it, like I said, it's built around the creator, for the creator. Think of it like a professional, like, publisher dashboard. There's going to be a lot of cool features, and I know you're going to ask about those. But but so partners are important. I mean, we're not we're not we're not ignoring the other partners in our industry, in our space. Comic Cons are important, but retailers, shops, distribution is it's evolving. If you, I guess it's going through a weird growth phase, and there's a lot of disruption, a lot of crazy chaos, crazy headlines and stuff like that. Uh, but I think this presents an opportunity for us to make a better distribution system, or at least play a part in the distribution system. Like I said at the beginning of the conversation, a lot of hands in the cookie jar, and you give and take, you pay for marketing, you pay for distribution. But there's a lot of people and a lot of creators I know that want to do it themselves, and they want the same level playing field as distributors, or access to shops, or at least getting in front of retailers and stuff like that. So it is going to be a big focus going forward. And I know that it's going to have an effect on it. It's just how aggressive we play in that realm, and um, yeah, and how we solve problems. First being just create the technology, deliver the book of one options, and launch what I've been working on for 2 years.
I love that. I mean, there's so much, there in general too, with the sense of, we've rebranded as a company. We've, really transformed what, the Greco days into what we've become now. And, putting up non-negotiables with these, print partners that we have to ensure that our in-house quality stays that in-house quality across the board, and that's so vital, because once you cross that threshold of global, then people get nervous, people get, a little worrisome that they love our quality, they love our packaging, and they know, sometimes our boxes, everyone, well, not everyone, I guess it ages us right now, but Ace Ventura, when he's kicking around the package at the beginning,
Right.
that's what I think about when books get delivered. And our
Yeah,
packaging, really stands it, they can handle that, and books can get delivered safely in the
yeah,
right spot. And now we're extending out to giving creators that struggle with crowdfunding, who maybe didn't have a successful campaign. You could still print your book now. You could still have
yeah,
ways for your book to come to life. And it sounds like we're going to have advancements not only with our digital partners, but with our own website and our dashboard that's
yeah,
going to be so kind of universal to
yeah,
everybody, and probably be more pivotal than any other website you could be on as a
for
comic
sure,
book creator.
for sure. I the first part, I do want to touch on that. I commend our quality output. I mean, I will stand by it. I think there is a tremendous. We've done tremendous things in that. And I will be self-critical that there are plenty of things that need to be fixed, or are going to be fixed during this process. There's nuances. There's little things. There's there's a lot of in-house production things that are being enhanced during this as well. There's a lot of things that we made work, and yeah, I worked out in the end, but there's better ways to do it with better output, better quality. And again, like I said, a deep focus on, and this is one that always comes to mind, because it's constantly discussed. Little things that I'm focused on, that I get obsessed about, though, is when you have a certain type of book and it doesn't lay flat, like, that is something. There's two things there going on. you know a being, being like educating and explaining why that happens, or how that happens. So, like, I think there's a lot of room for us to chime in, to guide, but also to, like, really how can we get there? Like, how can we do that? How can we, what kind of, is it certain stocks that sit better? Is it like, and again, it's fine tuning humidity and like all those little manufacturing things that are so important. But I mean, all it takes is a few people to ask about it, and it really kicks it into gear, saying like, you know what, they're saying things that a lot of people aren't saying, and we need to hold that with a lot of weight. So there are little production things that will dramatically improve. I mean, when I say we're going global and we're working with print partners and our own standards, I'm talking about our own standards juiced, like with improvements ourselves. Like, it starts within. So we're I mean, even when we talked all staff and I told the team, it's like, we're not gonna lose our spark. In fact, we're just gonna make it a lot brighter. We're gonna take the great things, and we were critical when we were doing this, weren't we? Like, we're gonna take the great things that we know that we're good at, that are great, and we're gonna pour we're going to water that, and we're going to make it, give it some sunlight, and we're going to make it really grow on those values. But then we're going to look at the things that we were terrible at, and really critically say, what are the things we should fix first and foremost? Again, going back to the why, the creator success, what are most important, and let's get to it. If it's practicality things like manufacturing processes and stuff, that's low hanging fruit. But there's little nuances, like there's little nuances such as the lay flat books, accessing other options for products. That's all great, but like, it's really the product quality output is something that is going to be so important at scale. So we have a deep focus on that, but that starts from fixing the obvious and knowing where your weaknesses are and fixing those things, or at least moving forward to fix a lot of them that you can. What was the second part of the question? Because that one I had to speak into.
That was a moment ago, so I got so transfixed into that. I don't remember the second part, so we
Yeah,
could rewatch it.
it's
But,
a passion. It's a passion of mine, because I mean, these are I always imagine, I think I even told you a long time ago, like, man, I want to see like creators get their books graded, like all the creators with us get their books graded. And I want to put that as a accountability factor. Like, I want that on us. I want to, I want that. And but that obsession and that focus bled over to the experience, and like, because clearly, like, there's so much that you can do these days, and there's so much things we could do better. That again, going back to what, the creator experience, I mean, sorry, the user experience you see in other platforms in e-commerce, uh, that's great and all, and that works. But like, what are the nuanced differences for creators, though?
Mhm.
Um, and kind of that's where we get back to that other part of the question, maybe, was the thought of like the whole concept of this dashboard. But like, when I approached it, I said, okay, we have one shot, not to do a better version of our site, of our process, of our ecom, but to do the timeless one, the one that is more of, in the modern age, that really, you have CRM systems, you have all these other like professional dashboards, SaaSes, if you will, that for all these other industries. It's like, comic book creators and publishers need one. They need something that is comprehensive. It's not a integration API plugin that you're just like building functions into. It's from the ground up, is built for a creator to house their business, or at least operate from having print on demand projects, um, to managing their orders, all that stuff. I mean, and then we're building modules, kind of the foresight, my vision for this. And I did develop the demo and the kind of the outline for it. But our own, we'll have a lot of cool features, like our own reward system baked in, that makes sense for us, that are really cool. I'm super stoked about that one. But also analytics, and like ways to sell direct. So there will be like a way to manage all your print on demand book of ones and sell them directly, and collect those analytics. You know, the future is like, how can we quickly integrate with some of these partnered platforms rather than, the other way. Not that both are really great, but then just cool little features like that, and obviously have that traditional. So the thought process was like, how do I, like, right now you build a e-commerce and then you build the user dashboard or the customer dashboard as a, the back end part of it, or at least the back function, but you're always the e-com focus. As insane as it sounds, I'd say let's do the opposite. Let's start with a dashboard, focus on the best kind of professional experience dashboard, and then bake the e-com functionalities, on top of it, or at least aside from it. Like it's there, but there's one way to think about building something great for a certain type of customer type is really build the thing that they want rather than what you want to sell them. And that was one of the things that was really going through my mind the whole time. So building it from the dashboard and creating some of the same but better versions of like the e-commerce site that we have. So that's really what's down the pipeline is a focus on that. We're really taking a lot of time. I'm personally involved in all the UX design, UI design. So that's really, I even said from our discussion with the teams is like, from today and tomorrow, me, and I hate to demote it, but like, you got a mediocre e-commerce site that anyone could build, that anyone could really create. We're a great brand and we care about this comic book industry more than any other printer. And so we should start by building something, a tool for the creator rather than a sell sheet. And I think that's the approach and that's the mindset, and that will be the biggest value provided. Functions, features aside, all that stuff will be great, but it's really the intention behind what we're building is, I think, will bleed through, and creators will find a lot of success with that.
And I love that because every part of this conversation you have bounced back to, this is about creator success. We are doing this so creators
Yeah.
have more success, from digital sales to physical sales, from the reach, from, sometimes they just have local reach. Now they'll have national to global reach in
Yeah.
just a one step. They're
Well,
going that far. And some people can't even travel, within, X amount of miles for cons, and they can't go across the country for a con. Now they have that full access, and it's all
yeah.
thanks to this, and it's all coming our way. Do we have a timeline of any sort for some of these major, website development, some of these bigger dashboard developments,
Yeah.
print on demand on creators' websites, things like that?
Yep. So the print on demand, the book of one option will be, we're launching it with platforms first, to kind of get that system down pat. I mean, we have it already built, but to kind of turn on that engine, we want to do things right. I mean, we just sent out kind of a newsletter, kind of gauging like, okay, I mean, this matters because what kind of volumes are we going to see from the direct creators, but also to like, I mean, potentially from the direct creators, but also to with the platforms, gauging like what kind of volumes are potentially going to come in will allow us to like stress test to kind of like test the processes internally and externally. And we're knee deep in that. I mean, we're already there. We've already tested. So in a timeline period, we're going to be probably doing some closed door launches with some creators and some of the platforms in December. January, I think things are going to go pop off really quickly. And you will see some of those platforms pushing a lot more of the POD that we're helping build. But when it comes to like the cool dashboard, we're probably looking at a February, March area timeline to kind of put let's call it a minimal viable, where you can have your basic project functions, book of one POD. You'll have the link. You'll be able to, like I said, some of these will be set in stone where you'll know what the turnaround times are. They'll be guaranteed and predictable. There'll be shipping, all that stuff. That'll all be baked into this initial go at the dashboard, and then after that, it's just really we'll be sharing roadmaps of like all the functions that we'll start caking on top, and do feedback loops and stuff like that with the industry and the community that we have. So we're really seeing like, okay, 2026 quarter one is kind of like introducing this and letting it sink in, really letting this sink into everyone, like what this implies, and how aggressive they can all get with it. And then I think quarter two is when you'll see like, okay, now that applied to this, this dashboard and these functions and this new way of things, that'll start changing the game, for sure. And I mean, while that's happening, we're constantly like in the lab. What's next? I mean, you know how my roadmap is, and like all the cool things that I think are on the horizon. And we want to partner with the industry players. We want to. I mean, I just had a conversation around this, and I'll have one this week. There's got to be someone who's, it's cheesy as it is, there's got to be someone at like charging unity in this industry as we go through all this crazy stuff. And when you look at the creator journey, one of the biggest players in it is like creating tangibility out of your product. Like, so it's production, the printer. And we just found ourselves in a great, unique position to step up and say, okay, we'll lead that charge. And whether industry players want to play with us or not, we know unification and unity in terms of like taking the industry forward and not let the fear mongering soak into all of our brains, and allow, like I said, go back to the stem of the ethos. And it's like, yeah, the creator success. The creator succeeds when we all come together to solve problems rather than spread fear. So I think that starts with someone with leverage, and brands and publishers should be out there doing that instead. Everyone's competing. And frankly, I don't think we need to focus on that. I think we need to focus on unification, solve problems, and get money back in the creator's pocket so they can create more. And it all stems from there. That's really what kind of, makes a huge impact in the industry as a whole.
So we'll be rolling out updates all through 2026, adding new features, adding new, paper stocks, options, cover options, all sorts of things, while also maintaining this great thing of bringing indie creators together, bringing publishers together, and making comics just accessible. Because a lot of creators just want to write and draw, and when we get to the technical part, that's where we kind of like lose our minds sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, dude, tell me about it. I'm a creator. Running this business, I mean, multi-million business, like it is tough. And and we just talked about this, like it does drain you, and it drains the creativity out of you. I mean, I've been, sharing a little bit of my artwork just because I'm like, playing the member berry game, and I'm just, I'm like looking at it like, man, this is what drives me though, because, and I always told you this, I aspire to be a comic creator. I do. I mean, and people are like, why don't you? I mean, you run the Comix Wellspring. It's like, well, because, I'm running Comix Wellspring. But at the same time, I love it. I love living in the space where I always aspire, because you know what? That makes me, well, it gives me some sort of level of humility, but also puts me in the position of saying like, yeah, this is a pain point. I can relate to that. I can relate to that as a creator. I want to do that. I mean, it would be so cool to see more creators doing this full time, coming together under imprints, publishing, it doesn't matter, coming together and creating great content, creating great books. And I want to do that. So a lot of push and the drive and the passion behind what we're doing stems from relatability and yeah. So that's it. I mean, that's really it. I lost the train of thought. I get so carried away in those things, but it speaks true. It speaks through me because I got two boys that I don't want them to come into this like fractional industry I speak so highly of, and they come into it and it's just like another business. That's what we were talking about. It's just like another whole industry about competition, cutthroat, like get ahead. I mean, especially with technology going in the direction it's going with, specifically, AI. Uh, I want the tradition to stay there. I want everyone and the next generation to be creating and printing comics and sharing their stories. And it all starts with us right now doing the things we're doing together, and let creators create. And if we can resolve some of the business hectic stresses, then that's our job in this, is to create great products for our partners, encourage them, champion them, and resolve some of the pain points, which some are practical as hell business, just basic business. And it does drain you if you're just focused on that, you know. So the big thoughts on that, and we won't dive into those detail, but I definitely a big part of, like, I want people to succeed. I want creators to succeed. I want it to be their day job. I want it a full-time job. And I want them to be able to manage their business, cut out some middlemen where it's necessary, and just, yeah, make a living.
I love that. And I mean, I just to wrap up the call a little bit, this is so exciting because I don't think there's been another comic book company out there that has given so much power to the creators. I don't think there's been another company out there that has given so much interest in what people, say and need and feel about the production, about the steps, about what they want in their books, and trying to acclimate to all of that. It's great that it doesn't matter if it's one person or 100 creators talking about an issue that they'd like to see, solved or
Yeah.
different, or anything. You'll listen to them, and you've taken a lot of that to heart, and you've put that all into this infrastructure. And so I think 2026 is going to shock everyone, from creators to even us in house at CWS, for the response and what's going to be truly happening when
Yeah.
all of this is launched. And a year from now, we'll look back at the last 2 years of insanity, of changes and transformation. But I think those who have been here for years, or for months, or for weeks, or even for days, they're going to see what CWS does and
Yeah.
realize that we're all about comics, and there's no distractions. There's nothing
Yeah.
else. It's just
Absolutely.
to make a great book for you guys to
Yeah.
cherish. And I've cherished it as a creator, as a publisher. There's no way I could stray anywhere else with our shows, encouraging people to draw, these conversations with creators and with people like you who just give us hope. You know, and that's hard to find when you're in a creative field, in the insanity that is the world today. Um,
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, the creators, there's so many creators out there that give me hope, because they're so, they're just, they stand by their values, and they're really conscious about the same things that I am. And I mean, take the AI for example. That's a big topic, and it's like there's a lot of unification there. I mean, so it's possible to do that from a broader stroke, from a broader, industry perspective. So yeah, it's they give me hope, and I know that's why we'll all succeed in this, because it's authentic, it's genuine, and it took a creator, and it takes creators to help creators. So that's what I'm hoping, and the hope is stemmed from the industry and the way it's going, and the good feedback, the conversations we have. So that's all valued. And I'm just going to do my best to create the brand that keeps them first.
I love that. Well, Dan, thank you so much for your time today. I know you have a busy schedule. We're midday at work. Luckily, this is both our
Yeah.
day jobs.
Yeah.
But
I got another one of these interviews in like 15. So,
oh, perfect. Awesome. Well,
cool.
Dan, I'll
Good.
let you do it. And we'll be looking forward to these updates. I'll be helping deliver them. And just thank you for your time to talk to the community today. I'm sure everyone appreciates it more than we realize sometimes too.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad. I'm really glad. I'm happy to do this whenever, which I'm sure we'll start picking up a little more.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, thank you all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in every Monday for Inspired Inc., every Thursday for
Thanks,
Spilled
everyone.
Ink, and fill out the form below for more info. And thanks for
Yes.
hanging.
Comics to life and print your comics with Comix Wellspring.